So I figured it's about time to start working on the truck. First thing I'm working on I had got these plates here, which are supposed to work with the factory clamshell. I had to buy a set out of the junkyard. This truck originally came with a V6 and didn't have these. The mounts on the V6 were kind of weird. This part was like on the chassis, but they had an extension that moved it back, and then the mount itself was bolted to the engine, so it was like flip-flopped. So I went to the junkyard, bought a set of these off of whatever, and these, can you see it like dimple? It's supposed to sit in this crater, but when I did that, it never sat right. And what was happening, I couldn't seat the engine all the way down, and I didn't really like that. So I bought these other ones, and these are from one of those companies that specialize in swapping these 5.3s into the old 1500s. So the reason these are a big deal, the transmission support in the back has holes that it lines up with, and these put it in the right spot where the holes line up. Before I couldn't do that. None of the holes lined up and I would have had to drill a hole or something. So one of my issues, I'm running into, this pulley is really close to the frame here. Let me get you down here. Like really close to the frame. So I gotta spin this and see, like, if it rotates over, I might not have an issue with it. But then again, I have the engine lifted up a little bit. What I might need to do is actually like notch this so this fits together. This part of the frame doesn't really support any of the suspension that's back here. So notching this wouldn't be that big of a deal. So after I get these fitted up and I'm happy with the alignment of everything, I got to take the engine out. I'm taking the engine out here, and give me 1 second, I'll show you why. I bought one of these. These have the oil returns from turbos welded in to the cover. The thing that I had bought, I'll show you that here in a second. The thing that I had bought, I was going to put in, see if I can get my hand back here, that can you see it, that round piece there? I was going to put that in there and use like a AN fitting to a 90-degree thing. The problem is with this bracket, because I'm moving this stuff around, I don't know if I've made a video of the ICT's brackets that move everything. Like this alternator usually lives over there, but I got this, it's a snug one that moves it in real close, and putting the turbo over here, so the turbo drain's going to come down. But I have to use this weird bracket here because once you move with the brackets that I selected, there's no tensioner to tighten the belt up, so I had to use this bracket right here. But using this and a 90-degree bend in the AN fitting, it would run into the back side of this and it would cause an interference issue, where these are nice and tight up against, it's like a 90-degree, it's welded right to it, so I can come straight off of that, and I have room all day to shoot down in there. Let's see if I can get the camera in there. It's down in that area. It's a narrow window, but that's where that oil drain tube's going to come through. Give me a second, I'll get the parts that I was going to use. I'll show you what the difference is. And unfortunately, when you're putting something like this together, you do waste a lot of money on like trial and error stuff. So this is a bulkhead. All it does is, I would have drilled a hole in that front cover. You see these are seals here. So you drill a hole in the front cover, put one seal here, one seal on the inside, and then that nut to tighten my idea was to go right here where this thing would have been coming out like this. They welded this so they could kind of go into a non-flat spot because it doesn't matter for what they did since it's welded. But I was going to use this one here, the flat spot, put this in there, and then put this on top of this. So there we go. So with that fitting screwed into this, you can see like how much taller it would have been. It would have hit the thing. So now this I can come off, and this is an AN fitting. I just put these caps on here. Essentially what I can do if I want to, for whatever reason, run without a turbo, I could just cap these off and go with it. And I'm having this weird issue. I've got, I believe it's called trigger thumb. It's not horrible, but there's like a little, I'm dealing with that. These past like week I've been dealing with this weird thing. I must have tightened these up. I can't get them off. But anyway, these are caps. So if I want, I can cap this off and run it non-turbo if I blow something up, you know, just to putt around until I get new parts or whatever. But anyway, that's one reason why I'm taking this engine out. Another reason I'm taking the engine out, just for looks, all the rust that's down in the frame rail, I'm just going to clean it up, paint it, and clean up the firewall, put the Hydro Boost on. I've already taken off the cruise control unit, which is this box. I'm not using the cruise control, which I think that goes through the factory computer anyway, and the factory computer is going away. I'm running the like 3500 style air conditioning compressor, which sits on top. The accumulator has to be changed. That port right here comes out of the side, and then that tube will run around to here, and then that'll run over to where my cut line is here. So that line will have to be replaced. It's pretty much all I'm doing. I'm cleaning stuff up, preparing it to be put together. I kind of want to get this truck to where it'll start and run on its own, to where I can move it around. Like the charge pipe stuff won't be hooked up yet. I have to figure that out, but one step at a time. You know, I want to get it running, get all the wiring done, get all the exhaust done. I ordered some more stuff to finish the exhaust. Well, not finish the exhaust, but connect the two heads together, the crossover pipe, and you know, make the turbo function, you know. So I just want to get this prepared, so you know, if I need the garage space or something, I can drive this out of here and use it to park my boat in or something, who knows. But let me get this out and we'll continue there. She's out. So I just took off that bracket here. I need to take the water pump off. These are some of the things, see this one bolt right here? You know, these are just finger tight, this bracket that goes on for the alternator. I wasn't able to get to this, and I knew that I was going to have to do all this, so I just kind of left it there. But this whole project has been, you know, me finger tightening things and forgetting it for later because, you know, like I mentioned before, I moved and I was just trying to get the truck together and ready to roll to move it. So it'll be in one piece, so I didn't have to move it in a bunch of pieces and lose and break stuff. I was underneath taking the torque converter or the belt housing bolts out. I never put the torque converter bolts in, but I did the lowering kit on this truck, and the lower control arm bolts, can you see them down there? No, probably not. I didn't even tighten the darn things. They're just finger tight. So I got to basically take this whole thing back apart, go over everything that I touched, and you know, just make sure it's all good, which I had intentions on doing anyhow. So the whole reason, like I said, for me taking the engine out, besides doing these other things, this wire harness, like these fuel lines are going to go away. The wire harness is, I'm going to have to go through it and figure out what I need, what I don't need. I mean, these are, this was for the V6, so like these are the injector plugs. I'm not using that stuff anymore, so that can all go away. All these wires can get cleaned up and start over again. So for right now, I got to take this water pump off, take this harmonic balancer off, and then that'll give me access to the front cover. And I'm going to change that over to the turbo one. Then I can start putting it back together and fitting it up to make sure the drain line fits for the turbo. So let's do that. Got the old front cover off. Well, it was a new front cover. We're just changing it up. I'm putting a little bit of my ultra gray just in the corners here, in both corners. When I put this down, I'm going to tighten them up, tighten the rest of it up. Put it back together and we're ready to go. Next will be, see how this is Right up against that, I can't quite get a fitting in there. I'm going to gnaw this away a little bit so I can get my fitting, and that's like the steam port that'll go up to the radiator to get the air out of the heads. So let's get this together and we'll move on to that. Got the front cover on, got my harmonic balancer on. I'm putting this tensioner assembly on, and right there is where that oil port's coming through. So next I'm going to put the turbo manifold on, mount the turbo, and figure out what I need as far as the drain, and then I'll continue on to this little guy for that port there. So I got my hose barb down there, and I got this one here. So these fittings have this like collar here. All you do is push the hose up, and see how the edge goes underneath that collar? That is supposed to keep it from opening up and coming off, and this is pretty hard. There's no pressure in this. This is just used oil, low pressure oil coming down and feeding back into the pan. But that's what the drain tube's looking like. That's how it's supposed to be ran. I'm happy with it. It's functional. And in case anybody's wondering what I used, it's just this is 5/8 heater hose. If I have a problem with it, it's easy enough to access. I have silicone, but you know, I'm a heavy truck mechanic, and it's blue. I really don't want blue in here. I want it black. So if I have a problem, I will go to black silicone. So I'm happy with that. I can take that off and consider that done. The next thing I'm going to do, I know I said I'm going to get to this. I kind of don't want to do it, is why I keep avoiding it. But the next thing I'm going to do, this right here is where we're going to get our oil feed from. I bought a little adapter that's going to have an AN fitting on that goes to a steel braided line to feed the oil to the turbo. So let me take this off, switch that around, and play with that. So I just took the one off the pan, and remember, that's the Hummer H3 pan that I'm using, the shallow one. This came with it. It's got the little metal gasket. I'm putting this one on. This is ICT. I'm using all their stuff. I really like their little packages. Came with this. So this O-ring goes in this slot. This is your gasket. And then they like to make things look nice with these bevel head screws. So they're Allen. Let me put this on, and then we'll put this guy in. And I am installing all this stuff with blue RTV, not RTV, blue thread locker, just a dab. It for that. And this part is a pipe thread. I think it's 1/8 inch pipe thread. I'm going to put some thread sealant on there and screw that in facing up. Let me go find my thread sealer. I have no clue where it is. I found it. So this is Permatex high temperature thread sealant. Hopefully you can read that. I don't know if I'm too close. And this is in a liquid form. I just unsprung the cap and got it all over the place. What the heck? That ain't cool. And I like to apply a good amount. Spread it out with my finger. If I can get any out. Was my bottle empty? There we go. That's it. And I'm going to go to the 12 o'clock position with this. There it is. She done. So that's it. And they do sell these if you're going to do like the twin turbo thing. They sell it with 2 ports, so you can put 2 fittings in. I'm just doing one, so that's good enough for me. So I didn't cover this turbo at all, but this is this fitting here. Inside of it had a little teeny tiny port in there. That's to you know, I don't know exactly if it bumps the pressure up or it makes a stream, a jet in there, and that's more or less for ball bearing turbos. This is a journal bearing turbo. This is a cheap eBay, not eBay. We moved up in the world. We're doing Amazon now. Anti-surge, 76 millimeter something. These turbos are very inexpensive. I think this was like $165, something like that. Nice V-band back here. Anyway, this here, I found a drill bit the same exact size as that hole and went all the way through and knocked the hole out in the back, the little tiny hole. You break it bigger. You know, I've been messing with these Chinese turbos on like RX-7s and stuff. That was what I used to mess with before I started messing with this stuff, obviously. And, well, not obviously. I deleted all those old videos. I shouldn't have deleted them because I had some good times. But anyway, I didn't want everyone to know who I was. The RX-7 guy. Anyway, that just dumps the oil in, you know, floods it out is what it does. Helps those bearings stay. So, that's what I did there. Anyway, I like this where it's clocked. These are all locked down. This is going to stay where it's at. The reason I did that is so I could still get my wrench on here. If I go any further down, this is going to hit that and then I have a problem. But this angle like this doesn't affect anything. I know some people say it has to be straight up and down, but if you ever worked on a Detroit 60 series and a Freightliner, they're all like this. And all of them are fine. So, you know, I don't care. But I'm gonna put my line on here, make sure everything's still good, and move on to the thing that I don't want to do. Alright, this part don't really matter because this tube's long enough, but I got this 90-degree deal on here. This, I don't know how I'm going to route it yet, but I got it just coming back down to here. That's our feed line to the turbo. Anyhow, the next thing, the thing that I do not want to do, so this crossover tube, everything else is ICT except this. For whatever reason, I decided to cheap out. And it looked like the one ICT sells with this hole here that would work with all their other stuff. And that's the thing with ICT, everything they sell like is compatible with everything else they sell. So like you wouldn't have this problem if you bought, you know, if I bought it with ICT stuff. But this, it doesn't, can you focus in there? Can you see? It's so far up against it doesn't quite fit. So I got to cut this away a little bit in order to make this fit, which is, you know, it is what it is. That's what happens when you get cheap with stuff. Plus, I don't think I tightened these down. So I'm going to take all this apart, tighten it down, put pipe thread in there, and do it all over again. I know the ones in the back, these are ICT, I think. Maybe I got cheap with these too. But those just have a rubber O-ring. There's no reason to, like, you know, seal anything or whatever. But these I do. So I'm going to take this all apart and fix this problem and see if I can make it work. So this is why I've been dreading this thing. So I've just cut this away so I could get this piece in, and I was just gonna put like one of these on to divert it up, you know. With this is the piece that the kit came with, but I want to use a bigger one. I'm gonna have to run to the auto parts store, but it like almost hits the water pump neck, so I'm gonna have to find a shorter one of these, hopefully. They do sell like a quick union, a little small piece, you know, without the space in there, but then I'm up against the bracket. So finding something this custom length is going to be, I might have to like thread something myself or something. I don't know. I think what would be more ideal for me is if I like just cap this off and tap and drill here and just come out the top of this thing. Like that would literally be, you know, it's what this thing should have been to begin with, in my opinion. But it's not set in stone. I don't have to run with this, you know what I mean? I'm just using what I got, and that's not the way to do this. So let me run to the auto parts store, see what I can find, and hopefully I can make something work. Okay, I'm back from a trip from the hardware store. I come up with this. So this piece is a little shorter. I got this 90-degree elbow, and then this is I think 3/8, which is a little better than that 1/4-inch hose barb. I want a little bigger, but I think it's just going to clear that. So let me take all this apart bang it together and see if it'll actually fit my purpose here. If not, we gotta figure something else out. Wish me luck. I do believe that's gonna work. This tube right here, I had to move over a little bit. See, it's not quite centered, but I think it'll work. I tightened these up. I put pipe thread in there, so she's ready to go. Trying to remember if there was anything else I had to do to this engine to prepare it to go in, other than the next step really is routing the exhaust. You know, I got to connect the two sides together and figure out a wastegate, and then figure out what to do with this. So I'm going to push this aside. Next I got to focus on the electrical and you know, preparing the truck to actually run. So I'm going to yank this transmission out. I do have to put the filter and the pan gasket on. After I was done putting the transmission back together, I just threw it in here to, you know, to move it. So the transmission has a couple more things that need to be done. I need to get the linkage that hooks up to the, you know, the column shifter. And that's it. Just clean the mess out of here. So I'm going to start on that next. I got the transmission out. I'm starting on the wire harness. I think I'm going to end this video here and start another day. I've been working on this like all day. I have to put the filter gasket in. Filter and gasket. The gaskets, this is one from the transmission shop. I'm just going to run this transmission for a little bit and then change the gas or the filter. So I'm not too worried about getting a really good one in there right now. But all in a day's work. I had to have some fun today. I've been working hard lately. This is my way of enjoying myself. Plus I got my motorcycle running. That's out of here. I went to Walmart, bought another battery. It was one of those flooded cells you got to put the fluid in and charge it. But bike runs good now. I can enjoy myself with that. Anyway, till next time, be safe everybody.